Plants are the first link in the great chain of life. They take sunlight and transform into life, into food, and into beauty. Spending time with plants gives us the opportunity to connect once again with the essence of life, to enjoy the sensory pleasures that make life wonderful, and to practice the skills that make us independent. It is the power of this connection that gives horticultural therapy the ability to transform the lives of recipients of all ages, from preschool children to seniors, and in all settings, from urban neighborhoods to hospice centers. In this episode of our ongoing series on horticultural therapy, we focus on people using horticultural therapy to help elders and the benefits of this approach for participants and facilities.
Since we started the outdoor garden, we don't have many plants left on our plant cart indoors. They send out the
Pam Catlin is the Director of Horticultural Therapy at Adult Care Services, providing therapy at 3 facilities in Prescott, Arizona. She uses specifically tailored group and individual sessions to help elders with Alzheimer's disease and other types of memory loss make some remarkable breakthroughs.
Reminiscing is actually something that we focus on a great deal in our programs at all 3 sites, and so many people have a history of gardening in the past. One of the sweetest things would happen with a resident. She and I would go down to the pond, and she would be anxious. We'd get down to the pond and have a seat, and she'd start telling me all about gardening with Daddy. Sorry. But it was just incredible because it would just calm her down, and she would actually leave the present moment and she would be in the moment with her father and talking about how kind he was and how loving he was and how safe she felt, and it was that all came back to the garden.
Horticultural therapy also helps elders strengthen their memory and awareness of the present.
We have a project that we do every year, and it's called the Great Grass Goonies. We plant grass seed in this little head, and it starts growing grass. The people that have created those, who don't remember that they even had breakfast, let alone what they had for breakfast, remember every day to come down and look at their goons and to say, you know, they need a haircut or not. So for a moment, when they check out their goons, they are clearly in present moment.
Jack was able to garden here and walk through the garden and visit with everyone in the garden, and it did help him. Pam gave him a pot, and he planted in the pot. And of course, every time I came, we had to walk by the pot so he could show me. It was still growing, it was still surviving, still thriving. And I think that was very important to him too, and to the rest of us.
And why do you think that was important?
It kept him a little bit happier and calm. Dementia patients, and Jack probably was typical, the mood change, and he didn't get angry. Of course, by nature he wasn't angry, but once in a while he would have an outburst. But bringing him to the garden just was so calming. It was like therapy to him and to me. I appreciated that too.
Horticultural therapy provides a nurturing place that inspires joy and fosters social interaction among a population that can grow increasingly isolated.
The focus of our horticultural therapy program here at the Senior Center is the social focus, which means that we have our seniors come out into the garden, and oftentimes they'll sit along here on the porch in their chairs, and those who can't get into the garden will end up sitting and chatting with one another. And oftentimes one of the most significant things I have noticed is that they share a lot of memories about gardens.
I came in to the Pioneer Home 7 years ago, and I was 86 at that time. I'm 94 now. We just love to visit. It's just like a party when we get together.
People can form new and vital friendships in the garden, engaging in traditional camaraderie around the tasks and challenges.
But I was attracted to him because he used to own a big ranch here, and I've always liked ranching, cattlemen, stuff like that, you know. Well, we're Westerners. We grew up in the West.
Yeah. When we worked, you had to work together.
The garden becomes a source of joy for residents, whether they walk through it or work in it.
The rocks with some of the tall grasses here are just beautiful. And then of course there's a lot of ground cover, you know, things that grow closer to the ground. Some have bloomed or will bloom. And of course we have birds. We have big blackbirds. Things are blooming and there's fragrance here just all the time. And we really enjoy it.
At Napa Valley Hospice and Adult Day Services in Napa, California, Program Coordinator Ann McMinn makes sure the residents enjoy their time in the garden.
Well, that's one of the fun things and the challenging things about the horticultural therapy program is figuring out which activity for the participants to do. And part of it's what would they like to do. I mean, we want them to enjoy it. I had a physical therapist say to me, you know, it's fine to be doing all this, you know, therapy and this serious stuff, but don't forget, gardening is fun. And the participants should be having fun.
Okay, I've got that nice and loose. Can you dig me a nice big hole right there? I'll be right back.
Horticultural therapists take a scientific and practical approach to selecting appropriate activities to enrich the lives of participants and accomplish specific therapeutic goals.
The trick is to find out what they like to do and then make that available to them. You know, I could have watered the broccoli before I got here this morning, but no, I waited because I knew Art was coming and that would be a great activity for him to do first.
Engaging in appropriate physical tasks not only provides mental stimulation and fun, but helps them remain agile and strong. Horticultural therapy provides participants with a vital connection to the promise of life all around them and in themselves.
And it's also stimulating all the senses of touch and smell and taste. And I say taste because our horticultural therapist takes it all a step further, and she will actually take the residents out and they will harvest the vegetables and the herbs that they planted, and then they'll make salsa, and then they'll have a chips and salsa party.
Horticultural therapy uses a sense of accomplishment to maintain or rebuild the self-esteem of residents.
I have seen such an increase in a person's self-esteem when they have been able to go into the garden and approach a project, complete the project. I can't tell you how many times I have heard people say, I can't believe I did that.
Horticultural therapy benefits the residents most, but everyone who encounters them enjoys the gardens.
One of the things that's really interesting about this therapy garden is that every time anyone comes to the building and any time that they leave the building, it's a necessity that they walk through the garden. And it does have an effect on people, just walking through it. Along with the clients, the garden also affects the drivers who wheelchair the people in and walk the people in and out. It has an effect on staff who come and go every day to this, into the building.
Because of its obvious benefits, a horticultural therapy program gives immediate appeal to a day center or care facility.
When we started the program in 2005, we were delighted that Ann found us, and it really has become our showcase program for the organization. And as we give them a tour around the facility, and especially, and we always take them out here into this beautiful garden, you can just kind of see their stress level ease.
When I get to take the family and the potential participant to the gardens, and I talk about our gardening program and our horticultural therapist, eyes light up. I see sparks in the family members' eyes because this is something they either can't do anymore or want to do.
The garden is part of what makes the residents a home and the center of a community.
I remember the first time I came to check out Margaret T. Morris to see if that was going to be a good fit for Aunt Martha. Pam had the ladies out on the patio, and they had dried flowers that they were making bookmarks out of. And they were all just diligently working on these bookmarks and putting the wild flowers in these little things. And I was so impressed because everyone was having such a good time. I said, oh, this is it. This is the place. Aunt Martha's going to love this. And then I looked at this garden area and thought, oh my word.
Although many facilities have an ornamental garden, horticultural therapy requires a more rigorous approach and yields greater benefits.
Ah, good job.
25 years ago, maybe even more than that, originally there really wasn't the therapy end of it. Then we met Pam Catlin, and she introduced a whole new idea here and how it would be a tremendous help and a quality of life for our folks. They just loved it, and some people would literally like come alive, knowing they could anticipate and get their hands in soil and work with plants that they did years ago.
I would advise anyone that's thinking about whether they're opening a day center, an assisted living center, and offering activities to figure out where they can find a horticultural therapist and possibly an intern program, because it's a wonderful, wonderful program and it helps everyone involved.
Horticultural therapy is helping to transform the culture of adult care into a patient-centered one, full of enriching activities for participants of all ability levels. These changes can make the future brighter for all of us.
An exciting part of horticultural therapy for me, and I think a real exciting piece for the future of our profession, is a direction that elder care is going, and that is in the arena of culture change. There are a number of core needs that are looked at when you're looking at culture change. The center one is love, but out of that is occupation, and occupation isn't talking about a job, but it's talking about purposeful activity. And what better place than the horticultural therapy program to provide purposeful activity? Another area is inclusion. We can have people with minimal abilities mixed in with people who are really functioning very highly, and it works.
I would hope that this kind of therapy can continue for years, because when I get that age, I want that opportunity to choose to have that in my life.